paid of cloth. Narrated Zayd bin Arqam and Al-Bara bin Azib radiallahu anhu, who were traders in the lifetime of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We asked Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam about money exchange. He replied, if it is from hand to hand, there is no harm in it. Otherwise, it is not permissible.
Of course, otherwise is not the correct translation. The Arabic word is وَإِن كَانَ نِسَاء فَلَا يَصْلُحْ. Nisa can mean women. But they're not asking about exchanging women. It's not an orgy. They're asking about transactions, money. So Nisa means to delay in time of payment. Another word of it is Nasi'ah. So now in order to explain this, we have to explain what riba is. So bear in mind, maybe this is the last hadith, because we have to a little bit give you a vivid explanation about what riba is. Riba is, in Arabic, increase. So whatever increases called yarbu, yazid, ziyada. This is linguistically. But the definition in Sharia, the legislative definition is the increase over certain items. And what are these items? Listen carefully. The Prophet named ﷺ 6 items. What are these items? Gold in exchange of gold. Silver in exchange of silver. Draw the line here, because these two categories have a special ruling of them. Then he went to say dates through dates. شو اسمه البر no, not grain, wheat by wheat, barley by barley, which is sha'ir, and salt by salt. These are 6 categories. The Prophet said, ﷺ, hand in hand, being immediate. And if these categories differ, you can sell as whatever you want or however you wish. So we have 2 categories, gold and silver, that are classified alone. And we, yarhamukumullah, and we have 4 items that are classified in their own category, which are dates, wheat, barley, and salt. The types of riba are 2. Riba and nasi'ah. Allah says in the Quran in chapter 9, إِنَّمَا النَّسِيءُ زِيَادَةٌ فِي الْكُفْرِ. What is nasi' in this ayah in Surah At-Tawbah? The idol worshippers knew that since the beginning of time, Allah made 4 months, Ashhur Hurum, sacred months. What are they? Correct. I need someone to specifically say it to you. Raise your hand, say I'm sure, and if not, I'll give you 100 KD. Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah, Muharram, and Rajab. These are the 4 sacred months. The Arabs knew that we should not initiate fighting, we should not invade one another, though they're idol worshippers. Sometimes they got squeezed at time and said, Ya Allah, we are in Muharram. Tell you what, let's call it another name. It's not Muharram. Muharram is the following month. Yalla, Bismillah, let's go and raid. So they delay months from their actual timing of the calendar so that they would change the ruling of Allah. And Allah considered that to be increase in kufr. Until the Prophet ﷺ was sent to them, and the whole year revolved to be exactly as was hundreds of years ago, like Allah has stated. So what is riba and nasi'ah? Riba nasi'a is when I give you a loan, 100 KD. And you say, I promise you to return it after 1 month. After 1 month, I come and I say, give me my 100 KD, or I'll give you 2 more months for 110. So the increase in the KD, which is the same item, was done in exchange of what? Of time delay. This is called nasi'a. There is something else called riba al-fadl. Al-fadl is when you favor something over something. So there is an increase. And this happens, for example, if I have dates, good quality dates, and you have bad quality dates. So you come to me and say, Shaykh Asim, this is 10 kg of bad dates in exchange of 2 kg of good dates of yours. I said, okay, Bismillah, hand to hand. Halal or haram? Haram. And these are the 6 categories that the Prophet said that riba al-fadl applies in it. So gold by gold, whether raw material or made. It has to be equal. 100 grams, 100 grams. 22 carats, 22 carats. Now you can exchange. Otherwise, 101 is not permissible. Okay, Sheikh, but the 101 is given because the 100 grams are new gold or has a new stamp in it. So the 1 gram extra because of haram. And this is found a lot in women. She has a bracelet. She goes to the jeweler's shop. How much is this? He weighs it. He says 10 KD. She says, that design, how much is it? He says, this is 15 KD. She says, okay, here is 5 KD. Bring me the new. Haram. You're exchanging 2 gold items that are not equal. Then this haram. What to do? We will get to know this. I don't want to confuse you because I just want to understand what riba is. Okay, Sheikh, then excuse me, but why did you classify these 6 items into 2 categories? The scholars say that time evolves and progresses and transactions differ. So why the Prophet selected these 6 items? All of the scholars of all schools agree that these are divided into 2 categories. 1, gold and silver. And they said, what is the illah? What is the reasoning between putting gold and silver separate? They said, 1, they have many. I will not go into details because you will sleep. And you didn't have dinner yet. So sleeping before dinner is not good. I will confuse you. I'll give you what Shaykh al-Islam bin Taymiyyah and our scholars have stated. They said that gold and silver have what is known as a thamaniyah. They are something of value that people use as a price. Anywhere of the world. You like this iPad? How many grams of gold? 20. Faddal. I will take it willingly. I have no problem because universally it's accepted to be a value, something of a price to pay and get whatever you want to do in al-bay'. So gold and silver, we have no problem. Scholars said that anything that falls under this category would be considered the same ruling, which, as we know today, is currency, banknotes. In the beginning, banknotes were backed by gold or silver. If you go to Fort Knox, they have a reserve of gold in America. And they used to write that whoever has this document will be paid in the amount of gold. Here in Saudi Arabia, until 30 years ago, on the banknote, it said to be given to whomever carries this document the amount equivalent in silver. So in the beginning, this is what where did the bank note word come from? Some say that this originated in Italy, where the banctor, whatever they call, is the bench, the desk. And people who had money, they used to go to merchants for safekeeping. So the merchants, usually Jews, when you know what happened to the merchant of Venice, you don't. So they come to them with a bunch of gold. The merchant writes for safekeeping, this is the amount of so-and-so, the value of so-and-so in gold. And everybody considered them to be the banks because they had this banquet or whatever. And this was done by the Prophet ﷺ, by the way, in Mecca. They trusted him with their wealth, so they used to give it to him. This is why he kept and left Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, so that after he migrated, Ali would return these money to their people. After a few years, the money that I have with this merchant, I'm too lazy to go and collect it, the gold, and buy things. So I go to one of the brothers, Akhi, look at this document, the bank note that guarantees that the merchant has this gold for me. And I started to circulate it. And he used to buy meat with it, and the butcher would buy. So they started circulating, and the merchant became Barclays Bank, became Chase Manhattan Bank, and this is how. Few years later, which is few years earlier, countries thought of, this is lucrative. People are considering dollar to have value. Yalla, let's print $5 billion. Okay, what about the backing of it in gold? Oh, who cares? So now this is a different ball game altogether. We will not go into it. So gold, silver, and banknotes, they all share the issue of thamaniyah, that has a value and a price, which means that I cannot exchange one another unless it is hand by hand. Gold by gold, it has to be hand by hand, it has to be identical. 100 grams, 100 grams. So what's the use of it? No use. Why would I give you 100 grams and take 100 grams if it's the same thing, identical in carat and weight? So the Prophet said this to prevent it. Now, exchanging others, gold to silver, can it be same weight? Of course not. 10 grams of gold equals 1.5 kilograms of silver maybe. So there is no similarity. It's permissible to exchange with a condition that it is simultaneous, give and take. And this is called in Arabic sarf, exchange. It's like money exchange. It has to be hand to hand, simultaneous. So if I go to you and I say, Akhi, I have this 100 grams of gold, I'd like it in dollars. You said, okay, inshallah, come after 2 hours. Halal? No, it has to be simultaneous. You go and exchange Kuwaiti dinars to euros. I'm traveling to Europe tomorrow. He says, okay, come in the afternoon. I come in the afternoon, but I will not give you the money now, because the transaction can't be done except simultaneously. A lot of people say, okay, here is 5,000 Kuwaiti dinar, I'll come in the afternoon, collect it. Haram. This is part one. Category, that is value and price. Part two, scholars started saying, why the Prophet specifically mentioned dates, wheat, barley, and salt. So scholars gave so many interpretations and ideas. Some said dates because they're sweet, so anything that is sweet falls under it. Barley and wheat is something that is baked and stored. You can store barley and wheat for ages. It will not rot. Salt is for anything that is used as spices. So curry and other things, it's all under. Scholars looked into it and said, okay, the reason is two things. It's consumed and it's weighed either by size, liters, or by weight, which is in kilograms or pounds. And others added a third condition, which is it has the ability to be stored. So corn, wheat, barley, raisins are all considered to be riba items. But when we come to watermelons, can we have watermelon riba? Meaning I give you 2 watermelons, you give me 1 big one. Halal, haram? No problem, because it doesn't fall under the description. Oranges, apples, bananas, lettuce, vegetables, it's all kosher. I cannot store it. Most of these items are not weighed. They're sold by items, etc. This means that iron is okay. So I have 1 ton of good iron and you have 3 tons of scrap. And I deal in scrap. So I'll take this. Bismillah, bismillah. No problem. Whether it's simultaneous on the spot or here is 1 pure good quality iron, ton of iron, I'll take your scrap a week later. No problem. Because it does not fall under these 2 categories. Did I bore you to death or I managed to make it clear, inshallah? Okay.